Hey guys, welcome back to Read Instead. I'm Jake. Glad to have you here today. Good morning to you all. Salute, cheers, whatever it is you say when you raise a glass or a mug of whatever beverage you have inside of it. This morning it's coffee for me. I hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to do a weekly update on my reading journey, what I'm reading, how I feel about the books that I'm reading right now. Let's talk about it. Okay, so if you guys follow this channel, you know about the four books that I picked out for the month of December. The first book on the agenda was John Updike's Rabbit Run, and this is the first book in a series of four written between 1960 and 1980 by the American author John Updike. It centers on a man named Rabbit. His real name is Harry Angstrom, but he was given the nickname Rabbit when he was in high school. He was a star basketball player in high school, and apparently he still refers to himself as Rabbit, and he introduces himself as Rabbit. I am about a third of the way into this. Okay, so just recently in the past, really the past like 6 months or so, sort of like right around the time when I started this YouTube channel, I wanted to apply myself to branch out and read different types of books. But I wanted to try out authors and types of writing and genres, I suppose, that I used to think were just sort of pretentious, and the motivation from these authors was not to just entertain the reader, and I used to sort of shun that. And I again, like I wanted to apply myself to not be like that anymore, and really to see if I could appreciate it and maybe actually learn to love it. And I've done that a little bit this year, and I'm really happy that I did, because it introduced me to a few authors in particular that I'm just really looking forward to reading the rest of their work. For instance, Ernest Hemingway. That's one that I tried out this year, and I know going forward I'm just really excited to read the rest of his hits, I would say. You know what I mean? His most acclaimed books. Okay, so that brings me to Rabbit Run by John Updike. This has been a struggle for me, I'll be honest with you. And it's not because of the genre. It's not because of I think it's so pretentious, and the prose and the way that he writes. Excuse me. It's just difficult writing for me to sort of breeze through, for it to sink into my brain. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just, all right. So it's a perfect contrast with the author that I just mentioned a minute ago, Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway, I'll give you an example, and this is just me sort of going off the top of my head.
The man woke up from bed. With coffee in his stomach, he walked outside and smelled the sea salt in the air. He walked down to the boat. He placed the oars inside and stepped on the plank.
Like that's how Ernest Hemingway writes, and I really connected with it because the economical way in which he used words was still beautiful. It was just beautiful in his sort of way. It wasn't like a lack of prose, he could still paint a beautiful picture, and evoke an emotion out of you. And from what I've like read and heard about Ernest Hemingway, he was very unique and sort of original to start doing that when he did. Um, John Updike is the opposite of that. He is the exact opposite. This dude cannot. I mean, when I say this dude, I mean Harry Angstrom can't live for 10 minutes without John Updike analogously, I don't know if that's a word or not, using analogies and metaphors. He can't let Harry Angstrom live for 10 minutes without describing his life like that. Harry Rabbit bent down to tie his shoes. The leather laces weaved through like a black butterfly emerging from a cocoon, lifting off its wings as Harry pressed his foot to the floor and raised up with his sneaker firmly placed. Like, just every single thing. I mean, everything. He's on his way home. He's walking home from work, and John Updike needs to describe the street signs on the telephone poles in a colorful like way. Oh, it's just difficult, and it's not. Excuse me. I get allergies in the morning. I apologize. And I mentioned this in like a couple videos ago or something like that about how John Updike actually referred to his own writing, and he said that he writes wanting to give the mundane its beautiful due. So I just think about that for a second. To give the mundane in life its beautiful due. Okay, I get that, and I kind of went into this like knowing that and having that sort of quote in the back of my mind, and I understood that this was going to be a character study. There weren't going to be any fireworks. There wasn't going to be any probably chase scenes, or it was going to be very introverted and very sort of inside the mind of Harry, which it is. But it's just the writing. The writing is hard for me to connect with. So what did I do? I get 1 credit a month. I'm signed up on Audible to get 1 credit a month to listen to a book. But the thing is, I can't just listen to a book. I don't know what's with my brain. I can't just listen to a book. I need to listen to it and read along as I'm listening to it. So that's what I'm doing now. I read like 40 or 50 pages of this, and then I was like, I need to get it on Audible and listen to it. And so that was yesterday. And actually, for the hour or so that I read yesterday of this, it was a lot more pleasant going into my brain. This is a character study in the truest sense. First of all, this guy Rabbit is not likable at all. Really, I'm almost at the halfway mark, and all that's happened so far. This guy Harry, he's like 26 years old. He's married. He already has a kid. His wife is pregnant with their second child. He comes home from work, and he's sort of disgusted with his wife at this point. It's pretty sad. She's pregnant, and he's kind of inwardly speaking about how sort of not attracted. She's not attractive to him anymore. The way he describes it is that because she's pregnant, that she's become lazy, and the house is there's stuff scattered around the house, and he's not happy like in this marriage anymore. So basically she says their child that they already have, their 2-year-old, is at like the in-laws or something like that, and she says, can you go pick him up? And he goes there, and instead of going to his in-laws, he just takes like a left, right, left turn, and then he's on his way. He's just driving. He just like doesn't. He just wants to sort of leave his life, his wife, and his life behind, and everything. And he makes it all the way down to West Virginia. This takes place in Pennsylvania, by the way. And then he turns around, and then he comes back to Pennsylvania, and he goes to his high school basketball coach and lets him know what's going on. And it turns out that his high school basketball coach, at first it seems like he's actually going to give him some good advice and be sort of a mentor when he needs one, but instead he just takes him out like with these 2 ladies, and they go on like a double date. His basketball coach or his old basketball coach is drunk, and anyway, and then he ends up running off with one of these ladies. Harry does, and he's just like living at her house now. And so I understand that this is a character study. Just the only thing that's difficult for me is the descriptive writing. I mean, really everything John Updike needs to give its beautiful due. That's what he does. The dishes in the sink, the carpet on the floor, The doorknob, how it the color contrasts to the rest of the door, how when he walks up the steps to his apartment, how it looks like the mailboxes have a smile on them and they're sort of grinning at him, waiting for him to stick his hand in. Like everything is written like that. So there you go. If you guys like that writing and you've never read John Updike before, go get a John Updike book ASAP. If you're like me and you have a hard time getting on with it, don't get me wrong. I like descriptive writing. I do, and I like writing that really paints a picture of the scene and stuff. But I just don't need every single thing, every physical object, sort of described to me that way. Anyway, having said all that, I didn't want to be completely miserable reading this book. Maybe miserable is a too strong of a word, but whatever. Anyway, as I was reading this Rabbit book by John Updike, I said I got to pick something else up too. And you guys know that I also planned on reading Outlander by Diana Gabaldon this month in December. So I picked this up and started reading it also. And I almost never do this. I don't know why. There's no real particular reason. I never really read two books at once, but now I'm doing that. So, and this is I'm just a little ways into it, and it's just so different from John Updike, and I'm probably liking this a little more than the John Updike book. That's for sure. So that's what's going on in my reading life right now. I got a lot of Christmas shopping to do. I'm sure you guys do as well. I hope that doesn't take too much away from my time and getting into these books. I'm really interested in getting into that Outlander book. The little taste that I've gotten of it so far seems pretty cool. So I'd love to know what you guys are reading. That's what I have going on. I hope you guys are reading something good. As always, I hope you guys are reading something really, really good. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Take care.